Hello fellow cinephiles, Film Guru here. For those who are new to the channel, my name is Sean, also known as Film Guru, and I created this channel to have my say on a variety of movies and TV shows, as well as looking at other film content. Today I'm reviewing Escape Room Tournament of Champions. This is a sequel to the film that came out in 2019. This one looks at the survivors of previous escape rooms and as they find themselves in a new and increasingly elaborate game filled with deadly traps. Look, I liked this film. I thought it was solid. I thought it was a good sequel from the first film. I didn't enjoy it as much as the first film, but I still thought it was a very solid sequel. I think the director's done a really great job here, and he's sort of evolving this in a lot of ways. I like that we get the film sort of begins with Zoey and Ben, and Zoey's in therapy trying to come to terms with what has transpired for her, and still showing her fear of flying. And it looks at how they sort of head off on this journey to find who these people are and get to the bottom of it. And that's the sort of thing that propels the movie forward. And I really like that. I think Zoe's an interesting character, and Taylor Russell plays her so well. Character's sort of evolved a little bit. She's not this sort of quiet, timid character anymore. She's quite strong and smart and capable, and is really the one who sort of works out these sort of what they need to do in these sort of escape rooms they find themselves in. And she's just a really strong, unmovable force, and I like that about her. She just really wants her life back, and I think that's really great. I think Ben Miller is an interesting character too. He's a lot different to what we've met him in the first as well. He's sort of grown and different. He's a lot nicer and a lot better with people than he was in the first film. And him and Zoe are really good friends, but he sort of cares about her deeply, and I like that, and I like their relationship on screen, and I think both the actors do a really great job. I like what they set up to begin with and the payoff at the end, which is really great. I like that we meet new characters, survivors of previous games, and we sort of hear what sort of escape rooms they're involved in. You have one character who was a priest, and what that involved is another character that can't feel anything, and I really like her, Rachel. I think she's a great character. I think they're interesting characters, and we learn enough about them here. But we don't go into too much depth about them, but just enough so we get a sense of who these characters are. Like I said, I think Rachel is one of the best characters. We didn't get to see a lot of her, and I would have liked to see more, but I thought she was really good in what we did get to see of her. I think she's an interesting character, and I think it was kind of smart on the director's part to create this thing and have like a sequel that looks at other survivors. I think that was really great. I think there's so much more we can look at here, and I'd love to see more of what they start to reveal underneath. I would have liked the idea of seeing another film that sort of showed another escape room and other characters and bringing them together. But I think this is still a really smart idea. I think all the escape rooms and traps are quite elaborate in this one. They're a lot bigger and more elaborate, and I kind of like that. There's a bank scene that's really good. The start of the film, there's a train scene where they find themselves on a train and they have to escape. That's a really good scene as well. There's other scenes throughout that really stand out, and I really like the way it's put together and shot. There isn't a lot of visual effects, which is really good. It's much more practical, but there is still some visual effects. But it all sort of works really well for what they're going for. And the film does shift focus halfway through and goes in a different direction than the first. But I still like what they're doing with this film. I still like the direction that they're headed in. There's things that are revealed in this that you didn't quite see coming, and I kind of like that. And I just found it a really engaging and fun film, and the escape rooms were the most interesting part, and seeing these characters, navigate through that was really, really good as well. I liked the music, the acting was solid. It just overall was a really well put together film, and I really enjoyed my experience with it. And I look forward to seeing more if they do more of these movies, because I find them quite entertaining and engaging and just fun, just pure entertainment. I love that about this. They are trying to go with a bit more depth and characters, especially Zoe and Ben, but we also see how the after effects it's had on all the people, all the survivors, and we learn little bits and pieces about them, and I think that's a really, really interesting as well. And I just find all the stuff with the old characters and new characters just really entertaining and engaging. There are a couple of things about this film I didn't love, and I thought could have been looked at in a different way. The whole start of the film is like a recap of what we've seen in the previous movie. And it just felt like this was, we were watching a TV show, and this was like saying, previously on Escape Room. And I kind of didn't like that. I didn't think we needed that. If you haven't seen the previous films, then you shouldn't be watching this one. You should go and see the first film. And I just felt the rehashing even though it was putting us in context with what was happening, it just felt out of place and didn't think we needed it. There's a choice they make with a particular character that I don't know if I overly like. I find the whole film hinges on this idea. I just don't know if it sort of really works here for me. The other thing is, even though we learned a little bit about the new characters, there wasn't a lot to them, and we didn't get to see much of them. They weren't in as much of the film as I expected, and it just felt like they were a little bit of a waste. Even though there were some interesting characters, especially the Rachel character, it just felt like a little bit of a waste because they didn't really do enough with these characters like they could have. And that's why it's a bit different to the first, because of the choices they make. And I don't know if I overly like what they're doing in that regard. Besides that, I thought it was a very entertaining movie and I enjoyed my experience with it. Final thoughts. In the end, this film is really about trying to overcome trauma you've been through. And sometimes you get thrown back into it, and it's about navigating through that to try and to come out on the other side. But it's also about getting to your truth and the truth of what the circumstances you find themselves in, and how to sort of navigate and work through that. And I think that's what this film is really talking about. I'm going to give Escape Room Tournament of Champions 3.5 out of 5. I thought it was solid. It could have been a little better, but I did enjoy the film. I found this is a really good and solid sequel to a really great film that I enjoyed. Anyway, that's all from me today. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit subscribe down the bottom and follow me on Facebook and Letterboxd. Otherwise, until next time, enjoy the movies.